I noted that Professor David Knowell Freedman of the University of Michigan, previously who was the most liberal scholar of the Old Testament at the time, said Dr. Gileadi has achieved a major breakthrough in the investigation of a book of such complexity and importance as the book of Isaiah. And then opposite of that, Professor Roland K Harrison of Whitecliff College, who was the most conservative scholar of the Old Testament at the time, said Dr. Gileadi's work will render obsolete almost all the speculations of Isaiah scholars over the last 100 years, enabling scholarship to proceed along an entirely new line, opening new avenues of approach for others to follow. Professor Hugh Nibley of Brigham Young University, who said Dr. Gileadi is the only LDS scholar I know of who is thoroughly competent to teach the words of Isaiah.
When I went to study in Toronto with Roland K Harrison, the most conservative and most famous conservative scholar, he took me under his wing. Thank God that he did. It was an amazing eye-opener for me to get away from some of the LDS narrow point of view to a broad, much broader point of view. He taught me not to be afraid of liberal scholars and their views, extreme views, because things that were supposedly said in concrete were not, and they could just be proven not to be always, sound, like the two Isaiah theories, for example, that there was more than one prophet Isaiah. And I've just proven that in my literary discoveries. Yeah, Harrison pointed me to a literary structure of the book of Isaiah that a scholar colleague of his, William Brownlee, discovered in the Dead Sea Scroll of Isaiah of St. Mark's Monastery. And there were a division of, 33 chapters and then another 30 chapters with a break in between. And that he discovered that each of these two halves of the book of Isaiah, of 33 chapters each, was divided into 7 parts of different kinds of genres. And but that they paralleled each other from one unit, from one half to the next. And so he had me analyze that, and it was a complete eye-opener, because it wasn't just a simple literary device. It held a whole prophecy and theology that was very, very complex and led from one unit of material to the next within those 7. Each part of the 7 parts of each half of the book of Isaiah had 2 opposite themes, like ruin and rebirth, suffering and salvation, humiliation and exaltation. And there was a progression of thought and of ideas of theology, if you like, from one unit to the next, that accumulated all the way through, as I started analyzing, ended up at the very end of the book of Isaiah. So it made the book of Isaiah it was a synchronous structure. So it turned the book of Isaiah into an end time scenario, a single scenario, superimposed upon all of the historical things that were in the book of Isaiah. And so you could actually read it now as an end time scenario, which is pretty fantastic. That then led me to investigate other literary structures in the book of Isaiah, which I discovered on my own. It totally blows the 2 Isaiah theory out of the water, but not only that, it opens up this whole theology and prophecy of the book of Isaiah that no one ever guessed was there. And it's laying dormant and hidden for all these centuries since the time of Isaiah. Even in New Testament times, only parts of it were understood. Book of Mormon prophets, on the other hand, they did seem to understand that or knew something of that, because they always get it right with Isaiah. And it's wonderful to have the book of Isaiah as a second witness to Isaiah, and Isaiah as a second witness to the Book of Mormon. So the 2 main messages of Isaiah, or the big message, is divided into 2 parts: prophecy, an end time prophecy that covers what Peter calls the restitution or restoration of all things. And that's huge, because that's what Isaiah is all about. And that's why it is really important for us to learn Isaiah. And if we're going to at all survive into the millennial age, we will have to learn that, or we'll be swept away and not be around at that time. We'll have to go somewhere else. And the theology of Isaiah is really the fullness of the gospel. And it's very rich Hebrew form. It predates the New Testament theology of Jesus Christ, but it is the same theology, and it is, as it were, a carry on from the Old Testament into millennial times, and it fills the whole gap between the Old Testament and it goes, the Book of Mormon is there, and it has parts of it, and Doctrine and Covenants has parts of it, and also, of course, other scriptures. And I'm sure that the sealed books that are going to come forward, that Nephi talks about, a number of them, will have a lot of what Isaiah is talking about. So it's really important for us to be grounded in Isaiah before they come out, so we'll know what they're, we'll not throw them out the window. And it takes you right through the millennial time, and it clues you in to what our role is as Latter-day Saints today, as Ephraimites, but also as Gentiles.